days might be long. I'm wondering if that could be significantly reduced. I don't think the statute requires 30 days. The statute at 12-43.3-310 just says they've got to notify you before the new owner begins working at or being associated with the operation. So, I mean, things have moved quick in this business, and once somebody has the license in place, I think this has to do with licensed entities. I think it's going to be very unlikely for these people to spend all this money and fill out this lengthy application and then not do their own due diligence about new owners that are coming in. I mean, they don't want to jeopardize their own license, so they're not going to blatantly bring in some owner who screws up their whole operation. So they're already going to do the check. They want to bring this new owner in. It just seems like 30 days is way too long for that. And I think we need to trust our licensees to some extent that they're going to not just be reckless about it. So it ought to be quicker than 30 days, in my opinion.
Here's the other side of this, Robert, and I understand what you're saying, but if you have a business, you own 95%, you own 100%, you sell off 5%, sure, who cares? That person doesn't have control. But if you sell off 95% to 6 people, then you've changed the entire dynamic of the licensee. And I think that is what Matt is concerned about. Some are different than others, and it just depends on the structure that is being proposed with it as to how quickly it can be approved and reviewed by the state.
Right. Yeah, and the entity itself, before the change occurs, technically, and it can continue to operate, there's no harm, no foul there, they're not out of business. But if it's a true transfer of ownership, the entity changes, yeah, I mean, things are on hold until the background gets done. I mean, I don't have the answer, but I think Bob's got
seller. In that transaction that Bob pointed out, both buyer and seller having strong incentive to, at the threshold, make sure they're in compliance before you're involved at all. I mean, they're not going to knowingly associate with somebody who is in blatant violation of the statute, like a prior felon or something like that. So I'm just not sure why you need 30 days. It seems like a long time. It seems like it unduly burdens the regular free market capitalist system that we're trying to create in this.
They were next.
yeah, that was next.
Are these, I'm just getting a little bit confused, are these rules are still essentially guidelines for the local licensing authority, correct?
Well, they're guidelines for the industry as well, but that process begins and ends with the local licensing authority.
From a practical business perspective, I guess the answer is what we've been using is for all LOIs or for all proposed business agreements, it's subject to licensing. So there can be some preliminary agreement on the fundamentals of the deal, but the deal is contingent upon SLA approval.
I agree. I think the statute requires that. I don't know how I mean, I don't want to use
so it won't necessarily hamstring, well, ultimately it could, bulldoze the deal, but, in terms of practical business practices, an agreement can be formed and the meat and potatoes of the agreement can be agreed upon, but the actual date of enactment, the official enactment is subject to
Barbara, did you have something?
I did. To me, that just seems like that makes the whole discussion of the 30 days a moot point because, as Bob said, you're applying, you're pre-applying. Basically, you're applying with the intent to comply, and so until you get an answer, no transfer can occur. So the 30 days in and of itself is moot because you're applying until you get an answer from that.
Yeah, what the proposal says is you'll make that application at least 30 days before you're contemplating closing. And my rationale for requesting that 30 days was to give the authorities some time to deal with it. But candidly, some I can do in hours, and others are going to take months. Kevin?
At the local level, should there be a desire to have a public hearing appropriately, it has to be noticed in 10 days and all that. So there's a statutory constraint on time there as well.
Correct.
And once again, please take into consideration the patient.
Well,
because in a rural area, Denver, it's gonna be easy if the transfer of ownership goes to someone else, so they can always go to a different dispensary or whatever they're doing. The people in the rural areas, if something changes or closes down, the patients in that area will suffer, and so we have to always take that into account of the business supplying the patient.
And I agree, and it really, it's not the intent to close anyone down.
And I understand that, just adding that dimension to the fact of where you're thinking with regards to.
Okay. Thank you.
You-
Brian?
You can't do any type of, if this mainly for background checking, it could take up to 3 months to do a background check. Is there any type of letters or anything that we send the entity to tell us kind of what's going on? Is there anything that you could be sending us? If it can't be done, and you can't guarantee it to be done in 60 days, could we have a guaranteed letter or something sent to us to give us some type of idea within 30 days?
Your background process is, you'll be intimately involved with anyway. I mean, there's interviews that occur, you'll know where it's at. It's just part of the routine. We can't do it without talking to you, is what I'm saying. You're an integral part of that process.